what to do. So let him do that. Why do we have to, why do we have to push them in that box to say you've got to get straight A grades in all these exams? You don't.
I never learned anything at school, to be in all honesty.
No, and that's what I say to people. What did you learn at school? What did you take away from school yourself?
Oh, yay, we are live on YouTube.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
I don't even know what number it is anymore. Does it matter?
I think it's number 14, isn't it?
Is it? Okay, we'll go for
that. I've got 14 in my head.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hello, William.
Yeah. How you doing, everybody?
Hello.
Yeah. So I actually never met anybody or spoken to anybody that did teach. Oh, they got that. So I was wondering how they fare out in the end in comparison to other kids. Because
right. Okay.
I actually always find that very fascinating.
So it's all yours, Tash. No pressure.
No pressure.
Okay, we're talking about, prior to we came on here, we're talking about home education, and I home educate 3 out of my 4 children. My eldest went right through school, which unfortunately, but he did. I always thought I'd home educate the 2 little ones that I've had in the last few years, because I felt a calling to. I think it's more their souls actually telling me that's what the path was. And I was going to leave my other son, who's now a teenager, in school, but circumstances happened. He ran out of school, which wasn't like him. He was never really happy there. And I thought, stuff this, I'm not having that for my child. I'm going to take him out. So
of school.
Out of school, out of school, taken out of school. But you were saying, Juicy, that people are wondering how they're going to take their children out of school without getting fined. You can't. You need, if you're going to take them out for good, you need to deregister them. And there are some really good websites. Education Otherwise is a fantastic website. It's got all the deregistration lessons in there, the legalities of it, how you home educate, and there's so many different ways. And going back to William's question, how do you home? How is my son's comparison to other people? I would say he's a grounded young man. He doesn't really know what direction he wants to go, but that's fine, because who at 16 wanted to, who knew what they wanted to do? I'm 46. It's not now that my calling's come into place.
I don't know now.
16 is a rubbish age to be asked, you've got to choose your career, which way you're going. I'm sorry. I am very passionate about this subject, so I apologise if I waffle.
No, waffle on.
But yeah, he's a very grounded child, and he's kept his friends that go to school, so he still mingles with them. The 2 little ones have made friends, and they're made with other home educated kids, because we meet up with them, so they're making their little circle of friends. And I find with them, particularly my 2 younger ones who've never stepped foot in education at all, no preschool, nothing, they are themselves. They are absolutely beautiful beings. They've not been conditioned in any way. Hopefully, I haven't conditioned them too much. And they're such free spirits. They are such free spirits. Honestly, they're beautiful. I mean, Juicy and Lucy, you've met them. They are so
lovely.
They are
lovely.
And I noticed when my other 2 sons went to school, they had these free spirits, and suddenly they were crushed. They were absolutely crushed into a box. My eldest son went right through. He had so much pressure on him. They were telling me, if you don't start bucking up your idea, not just to him, to the whole school, you'll be working in McDonald's. So what if you work in McDonald's? So what you want to do with your life? How can you use that as a comparison? And he just got crushed in a system that to me is completely controlling. And as we know, it really is. It's not about education. It's I've got lots of GCSEs, A levels, and all that, but I've done nothing with it. And I would say, if anyone is asked, wondering, can I do this? Yes, you bloody can, because especially at the moment, having your children in schools with what's going on, I wouldn't wish that on any child. It's I would say it's psychological warfare. It hurts my heart. It really, really does, especially when they were in those silly bubbles and they couldn't speak to their friends. And I've got friends that had got children in school, and it was just, I couldn't listen to it. It really hurt my heart. But you can do it. It's It's the best decision I ever made. I love having my children at home. Okay, some days are like manic, like you witnessed the other day, Lucy, didn't you?
It was great.
You know, I wouldn't
No
switch it for
secrets, no
anything.
secrets now.
Yeah, I wouldn't switch it for anything. I wouldn't. And
We're
so
talking.
they're so
We're
free-spirited.
yeah.
Sorry.
Who was telling us? It was her daughter, weren't it? She was saying if she forgets her pencil case 3 times on a row, they get detention. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
About?
Oh, and our school, they have to have see-through pencil cases with
pencil
all the
case
bits
3
in
times
it.
on a row.
Yeah, and they have to have a see-through pencil case, and they have to have all the correct equipment. And if you go there without, say, the pencil or the protractor, you get like a detention. We put in isolation, and when they're in isolation, they're taking out their lessons anyway to just sit there and do nothing.
Isolation.
Yeah, isolation they go into, exactly, and that's
Sounds
here.
like prison.
Is that in all schools or only one school?
Sorry,
This is all schools. Yeah.
Just
this
not one
is a
school.
school. Our local. This is our local school that actually turned into an academy.
Yeah. No. This must be all schools. They're using anything to give you anything to make you subservient and blah, blah. We was lucky, I think, William, when we went to school. I think we had
I had all sorts of pencil cases.
Yeah, me too.
And William didn't go to school.
Yeah, there you go. See,
Don't you remind me about school. I hated the bloody place.
School to William just means a group of fish.
You know, what do you actually take away from school? What did you learn from school that you've actually used in your life? Okay, you might learn to read and write. Well, so are my children that haven't been into school. They're reading and writing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird because the only 2 things I really did good in was geography and metalwork. And when I left school, I travelled the country working on historical buildings doing the lead roofs, which was handy, really. I knew where I was going and what I was going to do when I got there.
I hated what we call primary school, and until I went into second level, and then I started doing the higher maths, and then I loved it. That's why, but I hated maths up to that point in school. Didn't want to know. But when I went into higher level maths, I couldn't get enough. The more complicated the math, I loved them.
I was rubbish at maths, whereas now I'm really intrigued with it all because I'm starting to draw sacred geometry. So I need a bit of maths. And I'm like, I get this now. I've suddenly gone from the bottom maths group, having extra lessons, and my mum going, Pythagoras' theorem, this is how you do it. I'm like, what? And then now I get it after all these years. And I'm like, because I'm interested in it and I need to know, I want to know, which is how you learn, not being told what to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned all that stuff, but now I've forgotten it.
Yeah, tell me about it. I used to teach the apprentices. I used to train a lot of the apprentices on when I used to work in this sort of lead roofing game and stuff like that. And I'd show them all week how to do something. And they'd come to Monday and I go, right, carry on doing what you was doing before. And they go, I forgot. I go, what do you mean you forgot? He says, well, it's been the weekend, isn't it? I'm like, what the fuck? It's been the weekend. I can't believe it. So, Tash, you know, when you get 5 minutes, could you jot something on an email and we could stick it out there for people? I
did send you something, didn't I?
I think you did. You still got it.
I can do it again if you haven't got it.
Yeah,
I might have put it on the website.
You did. You put it on a blog post, didn't you? Yeah. Because I think it's
it again.
It's literally educationotherwise.org. It's got all the information that you need to start, you on your journey. And there's different forms of schooling. Some people like to have a strict routine where you would literally replicate school. So you sit there with your workbooks, learn this, and you learn all the subjects. Or you do a thing called unschooling, which is you basically live your life and you just learn that way through every life experience. And that's what I prefer to do. I've tried both ways, but as soon as you force any written work, any difficult work, not difficult work on the little ones, they're like, no, thanks, we want to play. But of course, they're young enough to learn through play. But then you'll find that the other, this morning at 8 o'clock, my 4-year-old and my a 6-year-old, was sat there with maths books open, and he was helping her to count her numbers, and they were writing in the books, and I was just washing up the breakfast stuff. So that's how it works. They want to do it, then they got on with it. Let them be.
The teachers reckon they got a hard job.
But it's learning your passion. Whatever you're passionate about, you know, whatever you're passionate about. Why have my hand raised? Look, sorry, it's because I'm getting, look.
School again.
Oh,
can I say something? Oh, yeah.
Got to separate the fingers now.
No, that's that V, isn't it? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't start doing that. I've been reading about that.
That's my left hand. That's my left hand.
So anyway, who knows anything about Tartaria then?
Who?
William?
Who?
I think Tartar. Who?
Tartar sauce. Will it tartar sauce? Yeah, I do. Excuse me. Can I put my hand up? I do. It's something you put on fish. It tastes really nice. Yeah.
The sauce. No, I actually did. I did. Let me rephrase that. I was reading it, if you all remember, and I kept hearing these bloody bells going. I said, what?
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Look at I join in.
What the hell are they up to? I was trying to listen. Yeah. Ding, ding. Yeah. Ding, ding.
That's all I have all night, William. I'm lying in bed where he's like, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, God.
I did find it fascinating. But are we supposed to have some people on? Is there some people coming on into this?
I don't know what's happened.
We're going to have to wing it, I think, because they're going to turn up or not. So
I'm not too sure.
It shows how good we are winging it.
Be fine.
While we're winging it, you see, wait for the other one to turn up. So I was reading it, and I looked at the postcards with the date on them. And you see the postcards with the date on it?
Yeah.
And I go, bloody hell. And I've seen the houses and the buildings that are half with the half window and the half doors. We had something like that here. I was like, why are those doors so small? And the windows so small and they're right down to the ground? I can never quite figure it out. So I was looking at it today. And
it's everywhere.
Yeah. And
once you start seeing the actual format, is everywhere.
Because I used to work for English Heritage, the National Trust. So I used to do all I used to do all the lead and copper roofing on all the churches, castles, cathedrals, and everything else.
Right.
That's one of my trades I used to do. I used to travel the country doing it. So I've worked on like Warwick Castle, worked on Chequers, the Prime Minister's house, worked on there. So I've Salisbury Cathedral for 4 years. So I've worked on a lot of these buildings, and I've been around a lot of these buildings. Been on hundreds of churches. I've worked in graveyards, and I know it's a bit weird looking around graveyards, but I've always said this. What from when you first ever meet him, because I've probably travelled a lot more graveyards than most other people.
But most dead people, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. No one to talk to, don't answer back. There you go. But I always said it's really weird because all the gravestones all start roughly around about 18 to 1858. All the gravestones. So when you walk around a graveyard,
they do.
So all the gravestones start off about 1850. And I'm like, where's the older gravestones? Where are they? And literally, when I used to travel the country, because I was sort of like into this right at the beginning, for a long time, and I used to go out checking these things out. And it really is around about 1800, sometimes a little bit early, maybe 1790, something like
that.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, out of every church I go to, really struggling in finding any old ones. They've all been cleared out.
I'll never pass another graveyard again.
But and then I used to say to you, didn't I? And I think I mentioned before one of our early podcasts. One of the, as far as I'm concerned, is like the ninth wonder of the world. How did they build all them terraced houses in such a short space of time? So, because I work in the building game and I work in the historical, I used to work in the historical game as well. I know how long. If you're building a £2 million house, it takes you 2 years to complete, and you've got all the technology. We've got this so-called technology we've got to make life easier, but they still take 2 years to complete. So when you think of the infrastructure in Great Britain, so if anybody from foreign climes or whatever, Google it. Google the infrastructure, the Victorian houses, all the terraced houses. Now you go into a terraced house, all the terraced houses, wherever you go in the country, are all the same format, all the same quality. Because I'm a plumbing and heating engineer as well, so I rip the boards up and I have a look underneath and get, you know what I mean? I've been into the guts of these houses, and I'm like, I always thought, how did they build everything? Because the early terraced houses, I think, started off 1890, round about there, probably, not 100% sure. 1914, First World War. So within a 40-year window, or say even 50-year window, yeah, the whole infrastructure of the terraced houses through Great Britain, which are millions of them, was from greenfield sites, all built. And I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? Because
all over the country,
all over
millions and millions of terraced houses.
All the bricks are the same colour. Yeah, they've all got that same red colour. So that means all the sand, because obviously would have come from the same pit, because they're all the same thing. So where did all that sand come from to have the same colour sand? Everything had to be dug by hand. Everything had to be transported by horse and cart. All the trees that had to be chopped down within that period of time. You're talking of thousands of trees for the sash windows, floorboards, scaffolding at that time, etc., etc. Cement, this, that, drainage, sewage systems, everything. So when you actually, and then because these are greenfield sites, there's not even any roads into these places to take traffic. You know, we base everything on today's standards of you know, a new greenfield site. You drive to it, open the road up and build. But this was like everything was just green fields. The whole, so, yeah. So they reckon. But it's impossible, absolutely impossible that you could do all. There's no mobile phones. There's no communication really at that time neither. At the same time this was going on, they was putting the infrastructure of the railways in. I mean, some of these bridges that they build over these viaducts and stuff.
Viaducts, yeah.
God, geez, I mean, how long would it take to literally carve the stone out from the quarry, probably by hand, transport, all shaped and then fitted, and then think you're talking years to build something like that quality. You know what I mean? Years and years and years. And at the same time of this, I think it was kicking off in America.
Well, everyone's training doing it.
Yeah, we don't forget.
Whenever you'd have prior knowledge.
Where do you get your workforce from to go, right, we're going to do a bit of a build? What we're doing? Well, the whole of Great Britain. Well, okay. Because the walls are all lime, not plaster. Yeah. So in this country, it's all lath and plaster. So they used to cut little bits of wood and nail it to the wall. Yeah. So it's all lath and plaster. Then all the horsehair that they used to put into the plaster to bond it together. How many horses would you need to do that?
There's a lot of baldy horses around the place. That's for sure.
Bold must have been freezing. You've got hair, Dean. But you know, and then this is just something that I noticed a very long time ago. It's like, how was all that done? At the same time, the mills have been built. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound geeky, but some of them steam trains, like the Flying Scotsman and stuff, I mean, what a piece of fucking engineering. What a piece of engineering. To work out every nut, every bolt, torque settings and everything else for that thing. I mean, it's still going strong even now. And then that was built in the late 1800s. And it's like, I think it even holds the 100. I think they invented the new train, the 125, but it was based on the old steam trains. It could average about 125 from London to Edinburgh. It's unbelievable.
I think steam engines are fascinating things to me.
Yeah.
I love them too.
Engineering.
Family.
How they were able to, they seem to know quite a lot more for that period of time than when you look at things first. How do they know all that stuff? How were they able to work all this? Work all these things out. But if we look at it, we still have the motor engine. We still have the car engine. That hasn't advanced a whole lot. We still have got that clacking thing.
No. And it's quite a basic car engine.
Yeah. And it still hasn't, it's what it is. It's just the old steam engine shrunk down in size and thrown into a car. That's what it basically is. So the mankind hasn't moved on from the basic motor car engine.
No. And I call it, so I used to work on the big sort of 2, 3, 4 million pound houses. And I used to call it Roman syndrome. Now, everybody's got to have, there's a tick list on X amount of £1 million houses. Swimming pool, tiled floors, marble in bathrooms, saunas, plunge pools, gymnasiums, people to look after the house and everything else. That sort of status symbol is the top status symbol, is what we had in late sort of Roman times. Mm-hmm. And they're still aiming for that same point. Oh, there's a lot more. You got boilers and things that do the underfloor heating now, but it's as far as we got in later Roman times. There's a status symbol, and that's how houses are built now, on the £1 million. And the more money you have, the more expensive marble you can have on the floor.
All Italian marble at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I call it Roman syndrome. People are obsessed with exactly the same as what they had in late Roman times to prove their wealth. And it's like a bit gaudy. I don't like it. I've worked in these houses and I'm like, it's pretty awful.
I wouldn't bother one myself either. I wouldn't like one of them either.
No, honestly, it looks awful. I've worked in them, you know what I mean, from start to finish. And this is what I don't understand. I don't understand how the whole infrastructure was built in such a small period of time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as well, it's if everybody was coming in, like they said, from the fields to work in the cities,
to build
the cities, where did the food come from?
Who's working in the fields to carry on growing the food?
I mean, the population is not anywhere near then as it is now.
Yeah, and the health wasn't. How long? The average age was 45. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. And you imagine the accidents that happened as well every day.
Oh yeah, and when you reached age 60, you were, and you looked it.
Yeah.
And if you notice, when we grew up, all these, what we used to call them old fogies, the old guys were standing on the corner, and they were all haggard looking at the caps on, and you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that old crowd, they get in anywhere, you should know. But, if you think back and think now, they're chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that's 60 now is still considered young.
Yeah.
They don't look like the person that was 60.
No.
When we were growing up.
I mean, when Tash told us how many kids she's got, we were like, fuck off.
Really?
Honestly, she lives in a shoe.
I did, not so much now because most of them are left home, but yeah, 8 and then 7. No, 8 kids, 8 grandchildren. That's pretty good. I'm 90, really. I, look quite good for 90 years old, don't I?
Yeah. And then a good friend of ours, Lily, thank you very much for all this.
Yeah, thank you, Lily. Lots of love.
You've really started something now. She was talking about, she sent us the thing about Tartaria, and then
we've been swapping videos to watch all week.
Yeah, and then
she's full of it.
I was just sitting there, and you was reading this stuff out. You was reading this stuff out to me, and it had a lot of ticks, tick, 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 tick. Of like the travels and the stuff that goes on and everything else. I'm like, oh my God, it really does tick a lot of boxes. Because, like, we've got a lot of myths, like King Arthur. Yeah. Arthur.
Is it?
And so all of them myths, I don't know. It seems to me it comes from that side. Yeah. Ether, Arthur, Aura, Arthur.
Is it a myth? Is Arthur a myth, you think?
Is Arthur what?
A myth?
No. No, nothing's a myth. It's just that something that happened a long time ago. It's a stamp.
Or not that long ago.
Or not that long ago.
Yeah.
They reckon it was only about 200 years ago, don't they?
200 years? The only thing I can't get my head around is where the mud come from. But I used to always say to you, didn't I? Where's the soil come from? She said, oh, no. Where's soil come from? And why is it still coming?
What's the soil bit? Because I haven't read any of this. So you're going to have to explain it a bit to me, because for all those that don't understand,
we're winging it. I think we're doing quite well. We're in between, isn't it?
I just asked you a complicated one then.
You're doing very well, Dad. Keep it coming.
Hey, next week we'll be going, can you come on our show and talk about Tartaria? Yeah, no problem.
I'm an expert, don't you know?
Yeah, I did read a lot of it, okay? And then after a while, it began to become very repetitive, and it was an awful lot of information going in there, and I thought it was overload. Maybe I was trying to read in too much at the one time, but I did feel that there was a lot of assumptions in there as well.
Yes. And that's where you got to be careful, assumptions.
Yeah. Were they the people? Because I keep seeing little posts on like various groups, and they call them the Tartars, right? And they're basically very intricate buildings around the world, really intricate buildings. And on top of these buildings, they have these tall poles, like with a round ball, which was said to be some sort of, a bit like Tesla's energy device. They knew how to conduct energy into the towers. Are these the same people? Is it a Tartarian building?
Yeah.
I've not looked into it yet.
Who are they? And I was to get a grasp on that, and he was basing it more or less on the east, on the, let's call it the Muslim side of what we call on it. He was kind of inferring that's where most of the stuff comes from, and I'm saying a lot of stuff I did agree with, and there was something where I felt he overreached, and there was other stuff that I was linking in. I said, no, I don't agree with that particular point. An instance would be he was, I assume it was a he that wrote the book. It was a he, wasn't it? What was his name? The guy that wrote that book that we were reading. Anyway, he was on it. Remember, he explains a lot about the Moors. And he was spell it MUURS. And he would also spell it the MOOR. Moors. Yeah. And I don't agree with his summation on that. Well, I am aware that he spoke a lot about Atlantis as well. So correct me if I'm wrong, but he never spoke about Lemuria. Did he?
I don't remember seeing anything about Lemuria.
But Lemuria was also called Mu.
Which is Australia, is that correct?
No.
MU.
Lemuria is shortened down to Mu.
Yeah.
And Mu in the ancient and the olden times was it was flooded out with water. The plates just sank and the water was gushing in. But before that, a lot of the Lemurians headed out. And a lot of this is from the Law of One, and they actually spoke about it, and it made a hell of a lot of sense. And they went into what is Central America and North America and became what is known as the Indigenous Indians. But he did make reference to that in the book. And he also went on to Russia and to Turkey and some other places in the Far East. And that's why a lot of the people kind of look the same. But the Indians, the American Indians, are descended from Lemuria, Mu.
Right.
Lemuria, Mu is short for Lemuria.
Because I presume the North Pole and the ice caps, you could sort of like more or less walk from Russia, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
And then back and into Canada.
Yeah, you can do, yeah.
And you've got the Eskimos, which look quite similar to both sides.
Yeah, yeah. They all look very, very similar. But that's where they moved from Lemuria, and there wasn't technology. They didn't have a whole lot of technology, but they had spirituality.
Yeah.
And that's what they brought with them. And that's just where, if you think about it, the Native Americans, they're into a lot of the spiritual stuff. You know, Father Sky and Mother Earth, and they're very much into the spiritual. But that's what they had in Lemuria. They were not connected to Atlantis, two totally separate people and two totally separate times. But that's where they said these people came from. But that's not what's implied in the book.
Right. I mean, you started looking at the Law of One, didn't you? The other week, listening to some bits and pieces, which tick quite a few boxes as well. You know what I mean? Just on travels. That's all. Just on travels. But do you think some of these buildings have come from other solar systems or other planets?
I'm just wondering, is it more to do with timelines?
Yeah.
If these postcards that we were looking at today, okay, and these American cities, that I think they were, and they were showing back to 1600. They were showing the motor cars and the trams, and they had 1600. That would fit in on the Islamic time, the Arabian timeline, because they're a couple of hundred years behind our time, in year time. And so would that fit in with that? Would those timeline? Would that time fit in with the Arabian timeline? The Hebrew. If we had to go by their years rather than the Gregorian calendar, which we're running now, and go by their time, would we be closer to the 1600s that was shown on that postcard or those postcards? I don't know. I think we do know there are parallel timelines.
Yes.
So if that timeline and our timeline started to merge, would we have the same effect? You see where I come from?
Yeah. Would it put back what should be there?
Yes.
Because that timeline's been continuing. It's here, but it's not, to bring everything back.
Yeah. I just wondering, is that what's going on? It would make more sense to me that way. It's a timeline merge. They're literally merging, you know, building wise and all of that.
Yeah, and I think that's why I said to you, I think that's why we get good days and bad days, where we feel great one day, next day you feel a bit, it's almost like
there's no reason for it.
It's almost like a filtration system. It's almost like these timelines are passing through us. It's like, and then you know, it's like, and then you feel great the next day because of the day, and you have a bad day. And it's almost like a timeline filtration system.
You felt it as well, Tam,
yeah.
didn't you?
I say we were talking about it earlier, weren't we? And that's exactly it. And then we were saying that, and I think maybe as well on a frequency or vibratory level, that depending on where you are, is whether you're up there or down there, and then which kind of timeline or parallel you slip to.
Yeah.
I remember once I was having a really bad day. I mean, really bad. And I thought, stuff this, I'm going to jump a timeline. So I sat in meditation and I visualized myself jumping a timeline. I came out of it and everything just went swimmingly beautiful. And I know I jumped a timeline because it just felt different. And it's possible to be aware of it, isn't it? Because we do it all the time. We do it all the time, don't we?
You can be working on a job and it just isn't going right. So you go, tell you what, down kit, and go for a walk or go to the shop, get something to eat, go back.
You could go on strike and I'll bring the second come back.
It changes the frequency of it. It puts a break in it, it changes the frequency of it, and then you go back and you go, I know. I always got told, if you're doing something and it's difficult, you're doing it wrong. Stand back.
Yeah.
While we're talking about the Law of One, you know what we were saying earlier, Lucy, about being underneath the Sphinx is in the Law of One. Do they mention there's a room? I don't know if it's in the pyramids or underneath the Sphinx that is like a special room that I can't remember if it does it or it's hidden under there. No one knows it's there, but it's there. It is, because we were talking about this earlier. Because I don't know if you want to carry on from there. Lucy,
is it holding something together? That's why that room, does it hold something together?
There's supposed to be a lot of secrets in that room. But I think they got into it some time ago. I think they went into it. But when I was working in the Sahara in Libya, and I was literally looking out at a sea that was no longer there. Imagine if you went down to Dover, right? And you stood on the top of the cliffs. You're on the sea. You say, what am I talking about? If you stand on the cliffs and you look out and you see the English Channel and the sea and all that, out the south of the Atlantic where it comes in, and there was no water there. But you imagine yourself looking out at something like that, no water, water was gone. And that's what I used to look at. I went on the cliff top and I said, where's the water? No matter how far I'd look, no water. But I don't know there was water. What I was looking at was actually a sea. The sea is no longer there.
Wow.
And I would drive away, I would drive for hours, maybe 8 hours. And the place where I used to have to go to, I would see dried up riverbeds. Okay. And I would see, I'd walk down what was an old once a riverbed, and on each side of me, maybe 8 feet, 10 feet tall, high, was seashells. Millions upon millions of seashells. Now, this is in the middle of the Sahara Desert, remember?
Yeah.
There's millions and millions of seashells.
Wow.
Just like the seashells you see on the shore. Now.
Yeah.
Seashells on the seashore.
And everywhere else.
I even brought some of them back, but I said, what am I bringing the whole lot of them back? But they look exactly the same ones that you see I find on any beach.
Yeah.
I would see the remains of very strange looking fish calcified on the floor, on the seabed, the old seabed. But I was piecing it together with the River Nile. Okay, and it's on the same latitude as the River Nile. I said, this was all part of the Nile system. This is what fed the Nile, or the Nile fed into this. It's all tied in. And I do know that the pyramids, let's talk about the main pyramid. It did have water flowing almost under it. And the pyramid drew on the energy from the water to actually amplify it itself. It needed the water.
Yeah. And
it's the same with any pyramid. Like what we now call the Argon system, the Argonite, where they have the pyramids. They used to draw on the water to be activated. And that's why it was put where it was.
Yeah. Vibration.
Yeah, it was the vibration of the water is life. And they used to draw the energy from the water, from the ether, to give it out. So it pulls it in on the bottom, sends it out on the top. This is why I've warned people before, be careful when you use organite or organonite and these fancy pyramids. And I said, you need to be careful with this stuff, because it draws in, pulls it from the bottom and puts some positive stuff out at the top. Negative in the bottom, positive out. Got to pull in stuff out.
Yeah.
I got people
so it's cleansing. It's cleansing as it goes through them, basically.
Yes, it ionides and changes. It changes itself. It changes its frequency.
Yeah.
And sends the positive out. We need the positive. We don't need the negative out like that.
Yeah.
We need the positive, but it has to pull in order to give out.
You're talking. Sorry.
It'll pull from the nearest organic material it can find. It will pull from the nearest source. And the nearest source to the pyramid was the Nile, which was flowing right by it, or maybe under it.
Yeah, I think, I'm just going to go back to that because I'm literally reading a book at the moment. It's talking about the pyramid. It's talking about in Egyptian times, they had water flowing underneath where they had crocodiles in, and the crocodiles were actually really sacred, and they came from the Blue Nile, and they were under the pyramids in this water, and they were kept there safe, and they got I don't know if they got the codes from them, and they got these downloads or something from them. And I literally was reading that last night, so that's like,
that's bizarre, isn't it?
There you go.
Because we was talking about was it the last podcast or the one before? I can't remember now. About the blue Nile crocodile when it got contaminated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did in this book.
Oh my God!
They got rid of it. It did. It got contaminated. I'm sure that's what I read. Yeah, it's gone. Yeah,
So
they got rid of it. They're not there now.
Right? And I was standing there in the desert. I was aware of the connection to the pyramids. I hadn't, at that stage, I hadn't been to the pyramids yet. I had been to the pyramids 2 or 3 times. But I said, this was flowing towards, you have the Libyan desert and you've got Egypt right next door.
Yeah.
Almost, on the same coordinates almost.
Yeah.
So I said, that it was feeding, going into Egypt, into the Nile and back out and connecting with the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean wasn't the size that it is now. Then the Mediterranean is connected to this sea that's no longer there. So that's what I say. That's what I say. If you stand on top of Dover, cliffs of Dover, you go out onto the quay wall where you are now, onto the dockside, and there's no water there. It's a very strange feeling to look out.
It must be weird, yeah.
And look around and see nothing. For miles. All you see is to the right where you're standing is more cliffs. And when you look all the way to the left, is more cliffs. And you're looking down on it. It's a very, very weird.
And where's all that sand come from? I mean, that's sand. I mean, it's like...
But that's the thing, right? That's the thing. I was coming to it. Where I was, very, very few people have ever seen. Okay. And where I was, I actually was quite close to what is called the Petrified Forest. And these are actual trees that were once, 1 minute they were wood, the next instant they were stone. Petrified. They looked exactly like trees, branches, branches, the knots, the whole lot, the tree trunk. But now, instead of being timber, they were stone. Completely turned, they were turned to stone in a flash. And I knew I had witnessed 2 things. One was a nuclear explosion, or something to do with a solar flash.
Yeah.
I've even picked up the stones, and even the stones felt polished. I knew I was standing in something that really had happened hundreds, but thousands upon thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And I knew there was a connection back into Egypt. I stood in it, I watched it, I took out the, I actually brought back, I don't have, a flint arrowhead. That's how long ago it was. From obviously where there was a campsite on an old riverbed. Thousands upon thousands of years old. So I knew I was looking at something quite extraordinary. And even when I was driving down into it, I used to pass all these strange kind of shapes in the hills. And I said, oh, that's a rather odd looking shape. And I said, I must go over there someday, but I never got to go over. Because you're not allowed to go off the beaten track down in the desert. There are no signposts down there.
Could it say?
You take around down. You take around.
Where's the path gone?
You will see in the morning. So by time you take a wrong turn, mate. You're not allowed into the desert initially without a pass. You had to have a pass, and you had to be shown the way by a local. And they had to be recognized as what they call knowing the sands. They could read the sands. And until such time as you were able to read the sands, you were not allowed to drive on your own. You're not allowed. You had to know the sands, and then you could go. My God, the desert is a very, very dangerous place.
Fuck, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Can you see these big, huge sand dunes?
Yeah.
I mean, they're way high, and actually see them moving.
Yeah.
See them moving. And it's fascinating. And see all the different colors. It's not white. You have black, you have brown, you have red, you have green. All the different color sands.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. I don't know, but the pyramids, are they built on bedrock, or are they just built on sand, compact sand?
I'd say what was at the time it was bedrock, I would say. Because that is an enormous weight. It's a huge size. And the accuracy, mankind today could not get the same accuracy
No,
and it's not like it moves like it's on sand.
No, that's what I was going to say. It must be on wood. There must be on bedrock. Must be.
It would, because the pyramid would have to draw from something. It would need a rock also to pull energy, as well as the water.
Yeah.
So when you make an something organite, because people say that they can do a lot of healing from that and get a lot. And I have a few of them made there, but
I've got a organite necklace.
I thought he was going then.
No, sorry. I was going to show you my organite necklace to show you what organite was. It's like, look, it's got chips of gold and copper, and then it's got a copper coil.
Beware of the copper coils.
Don't tell me that. I love wearing this necklace.
I've made copper coin, right? And here's one I prepared earlier.
Oh, that's
these
nice.
things, right? These pendulums.
Yeah.
Like conkers in a minute.
Yeah.
And I like to talk about I will do maybe a show on pendulums and when not to use them. They're not just pretty ornaments, and they'll always give you the right answer. Like fuck they will. So,
no, they don't do that. And that's what I always found.
Yeah. So
no, we do. And we go, you taking the piss? And they go, yeah.
I used to heal with mine. I used to use it to heal the pendulum, heal the meridian channels when I did healing, and it would draw it out. But I mean, that was a while ago.
You want to be careful using it. I know there are people, and we know who they are, don't we? And who use the pendulum. We know who that is, yeah. So I was asking this person one day, okay, let's the two of us join up and we compare pendulums. It wasn't taken up.
What have we got?
So I've been using a pendulum for years and years, and I know enough to be careful with it.
Yeah.
I'm not overly. I used about 26 years ago. I first used one, and that was just literally to impress a boyfriend. I had like all these envelopes. He put a £10 note in one. He laid them out on the floor, and I said, "I bet you I can tell you which one it's in." And I got it right.
I bet you $10.
Then I laid out these newspapers. He laid out these newspapers, and then I told him which one the date was on, and I was like, "This is amazing." And then I did everything with it, and then now obviously I did, and then I've been put off because, like you say, I'm not sure about it sometimes, and I kind of get a bit.
But getting back to your coil,
when I was learning about it, I didn't actually have a pendant. All I had was my old rave whistle.
I use a tea bag sometimes.
Tea bag.
I use tea bags.
Used or unused?
I done it one time or something. A lot of people in the restaurant. They said, "Look, use tea bag. You know the tea bag with the string. That has the string."
You've been taking tea bags off the washing line again, bro.
I was in the restaurant one day, and all men, right, the men's shed, and we had tea, and you know the tea bags with the string, you know, the one you dumped in, and with the string. And I pulled out the string, and I go, "Hey guys, watch this!" Of course, the thing started going around, and the other went, "Let's move out here, fellas. Let's get out of here." You know, it's devil's our work. Could be right sometimes, but. Where was I? Yeah, getting back to that coil that you've got in
yeah.
I've made a few of these, and I've always kept one in my pocket, but I always had to make sure I had the right side facing me. I was getting the benefits, it was not drawing the benefits, I was receiving the benefits.
So I need to turn it around then. So I need to wear it around that way.
You need to know which side is which. Because if you just go and drop in any old side in there, one side is now fighting against the other. That's why
like a magnet.
Yeah. So that's why when I see people go on the look at the shiny one, dazzling, and all the stuff that I have in the pyramids, I'm going, "You stupid." So do you know what you're doing there? You don't know. You have a clue what these things are. They're magnifiers. They attract and they give out. But we've got all these coils and everything in there, and they said, well, which way are they facing?
It's an aerial.
One is now, they don't, just people don't know realize, gosh, they look nice.
Have you put me off wearing my favourite necklace?
No, but as long as you know which one is yours, because
you're on eBay tomorrow.
Here's something for you, right? Let me get it. Just a second. Let me get it.
I suppose it even matters in which way the coil is, anti-clockwise or clockwise. Yeah. I'll say anti-clockwise is probably.
As I said, here's one I prepared.
Clockwise.
Your coil goes clockwise, but would anti-clockwise be better?
Oh, I don't know.
It's not pyramidal shape. It's not. It's conical shape, right? And it's got all the ingredients in there. It's got wood, carbon. There's carbon, there's the coal. I've got copper. I don't know if I actually got a crystal up there. I don't know if I put a crystal in this one. And I was checking the energy out of it one day. So I don't know if can you see that? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Let me just show you the energy. See, it's starting already, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that? Watch now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see how far that's going, right? See how fast it's going. Right?
That's good energy, I guess.
In the face now.
Yeah.
But I was trying. I wonder how far away I can detect this. And I went way up the street, right away up the street, and I was still picking up the energy from it.
Really?
There's an antenna, isn't it?
Yeah. I've got those dowsing rods.
I have those.
Yeah,
I made those myself, and I can use them. I can use those.
I use them. I haven't used them for a while. I don't know. I've done one, but I've got some.
When we this is
many moons ago.
Yeah. Many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
When we first got together, and all this stuff, knowledge and stuff was coming to us, was experimenting with different things. As you do. And I bought some crystals. One was like an opaque sort of crystal. There's an orangey sort of crystal. One was like an orangey one,
orangey, icy looking.
I'm going back early 2000s.
I couldn't tell you the actual names of them.
So anyway, I thought one weekend I want to try something just to see if it works, because you experiment. So we had some like mirror balls in the ceilings, stuck to the ceilings, so we could see the energy coming in. I got a magnifying glass, fucking magnifying glass mirrors, and then locked them all together. So as the energy coming in, it's being magnified into these crystals. Full moon, going back through and then back out to the stars and back out again. So it's like it was like a circuit. Anyway, before I leave it, see if we can charge it up. We were just experimenting, weren't we? I forgot. Then
we were partying and forgot about it.
Went to go into this room, and I couldn't even open the door with the amount of energy that was in this room. Right, and I was like, fucking hell. Literally, I thought the house was going to blow apart because of the pressure in it.
We were actually laying on the floor listening to 80s music, weren't we?
It was when we stood up.
And we went to stand up and we couldn't move.
You couldn't move. The whole house had filled up.
Our whole
house had filled up. And I remember crawling across from one room to another.
Trying to open windows.
And then trying to
open the door.
Trying to smash these things apart. And I'm like, what now?
What do we do?
So it took us hours.
He ended up putting them in a saucepan and putting a lid on and chucking it out in the garden.
Chucking the garden. I don't know what to do with them. I was like, fucking hell. I said, then I like getting the energy and was pushing it out of windows and trying to shoot it and wrap it around different things to get into the house.
Shoot it over the roofs and chimneys.
It filled the whole fucking house with it. I'm like, I was like, oh my God. And this is when everything was all new to us. So we was experimenting with different ideas, different things, different this, different that. It's probably quite dangerous in some respects, but like, well, we're still here, weren't we? I don't know how many times we've blown yourself. I don't know how many times we've blown yourself up on the way to here, but that's another story. But the whole house completely filled with energy. The whole house rammed. I was using people's aerials on the roofs to push the energy to, and then link it through, and then shoot it off.
To try and get it the momentum going to empty the place.
So I'm linking it variables on grooves, just trying to get it out, and then get it out. We did empty it. It took us a long time, didn't it?
It was about 2 days, didn't it?
Yeah, and in the end, I thought I'm going to have to hit them crystals.
Was it negative or positive? Do you know?
Oh no,
it didn't feel negative.
Didn't feel negative in any way, shape, or form. It was just like, shit, what are we going to do with this?
Exactly, that was my question.
Yeah.
So what could you do with it? Where could you send it to? Have any idea?
Yeah.
Like where?
Where would you want? Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I reckon a lot of people's TVs went funny that night.
But I would assume distance is no object.
No.
In that situation.
No.
So if that energy was a positive,
and
energy,
we had In Excess playing, and it was Mystify.
Oh, I love that song.
When it goes on about is it Misty Streets of Blue? It was like, oh, this is too much of a coincidence.
But it never felt horrible, did it?
No.
None of the energies. I mean, I know we go on some journeys, but I think a lot of it is storylines to deal with things, or to get messages from, or to learn from, or whatever. Because we were talking to somebody the other day, and they says, you're worried about, when you're on your travels, about negative energies around you, and I'm like, well, at the end of the day, it's who you are and what you do with anything around you. It's like we live in a negative. We live in this negative realm. Yeah, but it doesn't change who we are, does it?
Yeah, I was saying, could you direct that energy, a positive energy, into where there's negative energy? You know the places we're talking about?
Yeah.
What would happen if we sent it in there to them?
I think they'd probably get an allergic reaction to it.
So what you're saying, what you're saying is that is still out there somewhere, and he's channeling somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Could you channel that to a specific location?
Mm.
Wow, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
If it's negative, they'll absorb it, but if it's positive, they won't absorb it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just putting an idea out there.
It's out there still. On you go.
Yeah. Always listening.
Isn't it? Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is always listening.
Always.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for instance,
loves having little jobs to do.
I mean, looking at it now, I mean, this was a long time ago, but obviously there weren't such thing as YouTube or internet. We haven't got. I mean, we've got a wealth of information that we didn't have before in the early 2000s. I mean, and I did used to notice. That's why the tick boxes. I mean, I seen. It was a real weird journey, but it goes back to sort of like ancient times, or nights times, as in nights of the round table sort of time. And we were sitting there, and I remember looking out from like the terraced house, where the back room steps back, and the wall went into like an energy form and then started crumbling, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we both seen these knights sitting there. So
it looked like they were sitting in a carriage.
Like a carriage on a 45-degree pitch. They're beautiful uniforms, like red and gold, a bit like beefeaters, but more beautiful than that. And they sat there on these, like a chair, like a 45-degree chair, and there's all in columns, all in rows, and they had handcuffs on, like they're almost like an electric sort of handcuff, weren't they?
It weren't metal, was it?
It wasn't metal, because they actually glowed, and they had cuffs on. And then they had like this dog creature. It looked like a dog, but it weren't a dog. Stuck on the faces, so they can't talk. It was stuck on here like that, and we was working with it, weren't we? But and in the end, we managed to free this creature. But it was stuck on the face like this. It was like sucking on here. It's horrible. And we freed it, and as it freed, these handcuffs come clean off, didn't they? Mm-hmm. And they all started standing up and started getting out of these seats, and there's rows and rows and rows of them, weren't they? Sort of like that. And I remember looking out the window, and there was like a different dimension coming across into this room above us. It was probably about an extra 6 foot up dimension, and I would say she was a queen or something. She was just a normal robe, well fitted back in the day, She had long curly hair coming down to here. I remember she was going in helping get them out, and then she was kissing one of the blokes. She got out there, blah blah blah, and they was taking them all out. And then once they got freed, it's almost like there was on a almost like an Alton Tower sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was like, and it went underneath the house, and they went away. And I was like, fucking hell, what the fuck was that about?
It was like an Alton Towers.
It was, wasn't it? But they had this. It was like a dog-like creature, but it was black. Yeah, and it was on their faces like this, wasn't it?
Reminds me of the film Alien. You know, when they got that on there.
Click to their faces,
It didn't quite look like an alien, like the Alien film.
No,
it had the same.
I mean, we have quite a lot to do. You know, remember when the knights were standing outside? They weren't very big. They were only about like this, and there's two of them on horseback sitting outside the window, weren't there? Beautiful horses, absolutely stunning horses. But there was like sitting on the reflection on the outside, weren't there?
Yeah.
They were just standing outside, and they had all the armor on, and then they had the horses, and they were just standing outside, weren't they? Almost like guardians, I think, or something, wasn't it? Really.
I don't really know what they were doing. They weren't moving.
No.
Were they?
And because you was reading the thing about fireplaces used to draw the ether into the rooms.
One of the many things that I've tried to cram in about this Tartaria thing, it says something about all the big fireplaces that you see in these big houses and buildings, the massive ones, weren't actually for fire. And it was something to do with you know, the metal thing that they have in fireplaces,
like a fire guard, but not
I know the ones.
It was something to do with that, and bringing the energy in down into the chimney, and something to do with this metal thing. I don't know what it did. I don't know whether it heated the place or healed people or
connected,
but it was something to do with that. It was something to do with everyday things you see in fireplaces, like the whole thing.
Because sometimes you have the big finials with the big copper, with the big brass balls on as well, don't you? Sit on both sides as well.
Yeah,
which is a bizarre thing to have.
Like the canopy over the fireplace, don't
you? Yeah, you got a canopy of the fireplace. Yeah, and then you've also got the raw time with the big brass balls on and the finial spikes. Yeah, and they sit on both sides. Yeah. I've seen some.
Even small fireplaces.
Yeah, I've seen some. I've seen some big ones. You know what I mean? Big massive ones sitting on the big stately homes I've worked in, huge ones sitting on both sides of the fireplace. But it makes people like, you know, when we read it, because like we've been there and we've seen the energy come down, and it goes down chimneys, it goes down soil pipes, it sort of comes down in columns, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And connects through, and you're looking through, and I'm fucking hell, and it is like round energy, isn't it? It comes through like that.
I must check. I'm looking at the fireplace there, and I must check that in a minute. But this thing's
yeah, but turn your heating off and everything.
Yeah, before I put this away, can you remember which way this was going?
Yeah, it was going clockwise.
This was
anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
Okay, just let me turn. Yeah,
it is on our screen.
What am I saying? Clockwise? Let me see. It was going anti-clockwise, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got that wrong then.
That was anti-clockwise. So when I'm turning it upside down now, right?
Yeah.
See how way it goes.
Oh,
clockwise.
It's going clockwise.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Give the pole round.
So, see this? I switched it back again to see how it's stopping now again.
Yeah.
And it's going back anti-clockwise. By the way, the strongest point from that is not directly over the point here. It's to the side of it. That's where the energy comes from. Comes out from here.
Yeah.
Not from here.
The point.
Yeah.
It's actually, no disrespect.
Did you make that?
It's actually.
I was about to ask.
It's actually like a nipple.
Yeah. I was thinking a minute ago.
I wouldn't like to sit on it.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't accidentally sit on it.
But if you think of the energy, that's coming out of here.
Yeah.
And a mortar feeding a child.
Yeah.
So
did you make it, William?
Yeah, I made a few of them, and I gave them a few people. But the energy, but you have to have it on something that's connected to the ground. So I have it sitting on the fireplace, mortar fireplaces, that are connected back into the earth. That's where the concrete is, the mass concrete.
Yeah. Rather than the footings,
So this is why I usually have it sitting on the fireplace, on the hearth. So at the moment, though, that's pulling energy from me.
Can you connect them to the moon and
Have you ever tried that?
What?
Like we did with the crystals?
Yeah, I have when I had crystals.
Connected to the moon.
Well, it was a full. This is early times, wasn't it? It was a full moon, and I was just taking the energy, not from the moon, but the light energy coming into it, and then just made a circuit and then threw it out, and it's just like fucking hell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When I used to charge my crystals under the moon.
But when we first met, I can always when I'm in that zone, I can connect to the stars. So basically, I can put my hand up, and the star energy comes to my hands. Actually, it comes to my hands. I can actually connect and comes to my hands. Yeah, and when we first met, we'd been at a house party and was driving from a house party back to home, and all the star energy in the sky, wasn't it? Like tinsel was all over the window screens of the car, like snow. And I get in the window screen. I was driving, like, oh my god, fucked up into anyway. And literally, I was having to have the wipers on to clear it because of the star energy that was coming down. And we've had that loads of times. We've actually seen it when we've been on our travels, and the star energy literally falls like tinsel, isn't it? Yeah. It's almost like crystal tinsel falls onto the roofs. It falls all around us.
Okay. Have you ever done anything with the energy?
Oh yeah.
I mean, really done something with it. Okay. What can
do you mean, like?
Well,
what do you mean, like?
Well, we know there's a lot of dark energy around.
Yes.
You see where I'm coming from. You've got
I know exactly. Yeah. I built spheres with it and domes with it. Yeah.
And heal it and talk to it.
Heal it, talk to it, chat it. It knows me. It's almost like it is me. And it's really weird. It's got a consciousness. That's why we created the consciousness of any energies that are lost. We always put into it. And you need guiding, or when the energies come to me at windows and stuff, they stand outside. I go, "Are you lost?"
Can I throw you a sidewind here? Can I throw a spanner in the works here? Where would that come in regards to religion? No, you know my views on religion and spirituality. Where would that come in that?
Pretty fucking high up, I reckon.
How do you mean high up? No, I'm asking that now for people who would be listening to this. What do you mean by high
up? I think it comes from well, I've always tried to find out who we are, what we're doing, everything. You know what I mean? I've always tried to sort of like catch them out, but they never tell me. They'll tell me bits and pieces, and I'm like, but I did get to the creator line. It's something to do with the creator line, right up there.
We know there's something out there looking after us.
Something out there looking after us.
Yeah.
Watching our back.
Yeah. And I've also tried to find out who that is. Yeah.
We don't really
I go through different scenario permutations. I'm going to this is why we're in the zone, and I get so far, and I'm like, fuck, it's not you, it's not this, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this, it's not this. And as far as I've got, it's our higher selves in the future.
As the law of one.
Which is the law of one. It must be.
Yeah.
That's as far as I've got. And when you get, no matter how high you go, I just put it to bed going, it doesn't matter how high I go, there's always soon going to be higher looking after you.
The higher self.
Yeah. And it can only be your higher self.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's our expanding selves in the future, which is beautiful to know that we're already there in the expanding future.
Yeah.
So that timeline of all of us is already there. So it's nice to know that
there's nothing lost.
We're immortal.
Exactly. There's nothing lost.
No, nothing lost. Yeah. It's like I talk to people. Don't be afraid of dying. Yeah. Because you don't die.
It's a lot easier to get out of this place than come into it.
Well, I'm hoping to send a starship down this time, just to make life a little bit easier for everybody.
Well, I'm afraid this is what you've got. But you won't get an answer. Going back to what you were saying, you can go up and you were asking this, and you're trying to find out that, but you would never be told until you ask.
No, yeah, and I did ask, and I pestered, absolutely pestered him, to the point of, I think that in the end it was almost like the energies that are here, or we work with, they work for us.
You're the boss.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Yeah. Down here, you're the boss.
I do. Every time that something happened, I look at you and go. She goes, "What's happened?" I go, "There's more fucking responsibility."
It is.
It is a lot of
responsibility.
And that's why I always, whatever I do, or if we make, if it be, because you had a serious problem. We found what it was, and we was talking to Lily about this. It goes back to ancient times, and memories were being lost at such a rate that when we go on our journey, you were sort of like, you're like an antenna to what's going on, I think, within the universe or within the community. And we was on our travels, because when we do travel, we do fly. We are like in a spaceship, no doubt about it. Yeah, with whatever building we're in. We even tried it once and thought, is it because of Wi-Fi and electric stuff around us and everything else that we hear these things and see these things? So we feel these things. Yeah. Is it artificial? Is it Wi-Fi that's coming into the house? So, or electricity. So we came down to the boat at that time, and the boat had nothing in it, no electrics, no nothing. Yeah. And everything was happening exactly the same here as what it was in the house. I was like, wow, fuck me, this is real.
Yeah.
But
this is why I always have one in the house. This will send negative ions all over the house. But you can also put these, you can make them smaller, okay? And you can put them next to, let's say, under your electricity meter. Okay.
Get spinning backwards.
I don't. Shh. How dare you? For fuck's sake. Anyway, I get around the quicker this way around. You dug a right hole for me there, you did. The meters would pull the negative ions into the wiring and circulate around the house. And it'll quieten the energy. It's the only way I'm going to say this. It'll quieten the energy down of the electricity. Also, the radiator will
That's why I wear this one to protect me from like EMF.
But getting back to this, Chappie, before I finish, because I don't want to go way half off the handle here again. This is why the pyramids were put near on top of the Nile. It's the water is the real energizer for these things. So you can take the size of the pyramid, which is absolutely huge, and it's now pulling from pure sources from the water, and this is why they built the pyramids, to send the ions out into the world. This is what they were designed for.
Wow, yeah.
And if you put, getting back, you get your nice clear, what's the word I'm looking for that you make these things again? What's the glue?
Resin.
The bloody resin, yeah. And you get lovely clear resin, and you put all your copper coils and your lovely crystals. Isn't that, look what I have here, lovely, isn't that beautiful? And look, maybe they're absolutely fucking useless. They're probably doing more harm than good. That's fact. I'm looking at all these people who have all these shiny.
Yeah, because you can get some beautiful looking ones.
Yeah, really. Oh, they got coils here and coils here. They got couples of coils all over there. And every coil is probably laughing at the other one. absolutely bloody useless. What's this kind of stuff that this giving out?
Yeah.
With all this copper and this clear, oh, look at that, it's beautiful. I'm saying, but are they any good?
I've always thought that the pyramids as well would control like a microdome over that particular area, and that's why it was so abundant.
What's so abundant?
You know, like
I
always thought as well that they'd create like a microdome over the community, so it becomes abundant within on the inside of it, almost like the Eden Project. Over the top,
like a perfect atmosphere and
perfect atmosphere and everything inside it.
Well, going back to what you just said yourself, you can do anything you want with that energy.
Yeah.
You've answered your own question there.
I know the old energy. I know the old energy had passed its sell-by date. That's why I think a lot of this stuff went bang. Just the journeys we've been on, it's almost, I feel like the old earth went bang, or the old way of building, the old energy, the way we used to build things with energy, it passed its sell-by date. Old energy is really weird. It's quite magnetic in its feel. Yeah, it's quite a lot more sort of like straight lining bits in it, and it feels quite spiky and almost like fiberglassy in construction. Okay. Yeah, and it's an old. So when I get past an energy or an energy comes to me, I know it's ancient by its feel. It's not fluid. It's almost like a fiberglassy sort of feel. Yeah, it's fizzy. But there was an old golden yellow energy. Yeah, and it's very sticky. And when you touch it, it's horrible. You can feel it going up your arm. It's very magnetic, very old magnetic. It's really ancient old. And you're like, and you feel it going up, and it just makes you feel horrible. But over the time of traveling, the consciousness of the energy that we work with can actually feel what we feel now. So it's almost like as we're eating, the consciousness of the energy can feel it as well. So it can feel it through us. So when I'm going, what? Where before they wouldn't know, where now if I pick a bit up, it comes to me, it's like, they can, the energy can feel it as well. And it's like, I don't like it. So it takes it out of us, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I go, can you get rid of it? And it comes and removes it and gets rid of it and dumps it. So it's almost like a lot of old energies have been passed to us because there's a new energy, beautiful energy, stunning energy I work with. It's an atom energy. So it's like an atom. It's like an atom energy, but it's like an atom, micro atom to micro nothing. So it's like a ball and a hoop, and it all fits together. So you got like a ball, which is the atom, and the hoop of it. So that's the nothing, and the two sit together like that. So then that ball sits in that nothing and locks together. So it's like a chain. And when we're building or when we're working with energies, with this new type of energy, it just pours out to me, doesn't it? And I can build, and we see the domes go above us, and they're massive, aren't they? And they just go and go and go and go and go and go, and it just keeps on. Because it's organic, it just keeps growing, getting stronger. But there is crystals in it and everything else, and all different types of energies in it, but organic. It's almost like the energy before gone hard, solid, and it all went bang. It lost its sort of fluidity, didn't it? And then we've been given different energies, and I said I can't do anything with it. And then there's, but each energy has a job to do. So when it comes in, it does this, it does this, it does that. It's a living thing, and it knows what it's doing. Every bit has to go into a particular place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch. It's amazing. Even Rusty, the dog, he sits there watching it like this. Rusty, our dog, he sits there going, and I'm watching what's going on. I'm watching him watch it. So even he can see what.
Well, what's happening lately for me, I've noticed. Has anyone read the Celestine Prophecy? Have you read that? The Celestine Prophecy. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
No,
it's also a film. Yeah, it's also a film.
Yeah,
it's basically these people about what I presume we're going into, but basically, you know how obviously you can see auras of people, which I have to concentrate and I can see, but I'm finding I'm focusing. I was laying on the floor, I was looking at my plants. I've got lots of plants in this room, and each of them were emitting a beautiful color. One was this ultraviolet purple, one was this ultraviolet blue, and they were just all blending, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's beautiful. So talking of energy, it's
I have the book
colors coming at me.
I've got the book.
You have,
I have the book. So,
it was just like how they described in the book, and also in the film. That's how they do it. They merge all the colours together, and that's what I was seeing around my plants. And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!"
Where did that take place again? That was in India or Tibet or someplace like that, was it? Or where did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know where it was. Yeah, it was somewhere. I can't remember either. I've got the book on my shelf, but I don't know. I can't remember.
I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, no.
They made a film out of it. They made a film.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah.
Maybe that's where the ether went. Maybe the ether was connected to the energy, and it passed the shelf by date.
So, do you think the old energy has, let's call it, is now finished?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like we've been on a journey. We've rescued what we can from the old, so we don't forget, and then it's been reconverted into a new format, taking everything out where we can actually be rescued. It almost feels like to me that the earth that we stand on already went bang, and it's almost like we've held it on a point before it went bang, while we try and repair everything and get everything out that we can salvage from the old.
And investigate what happened.
Well, they say that
so it don't happen again.
When what you think and what appears, when there is very, very little time or no time between the two, then that's the end of time.
Yes.
I don't know if that's on an individual case or is on a worldwide case where what you think shows up, bang, and there's no time in between, and everything is finished. I don't know if that applies to the whole earth or to the person that's experiencing it.
I reckon it's the whole earth. That's what I've been given when I asked a similar question. It was actually about the solar flash that is going to happen, and I was told that this is just my perspective. I was told that basically that the solar flash will come and it will literally change from one to the other. There'll be people like us that might well be aware of an energetic shift and change from the old to the new, and there'll be people that completely don't, are not aware whatsoever. But it'll be like a big boom, if you like, and that would just be literally Mother Earth and us cleansing, and it'd be gone. So it'd be like a big puff, a big bang of energy gone, all the crap, all the negativity, and then we'll be in the new beautiful energy. That's what I perceive, but
is that forever? You reckon that's for everybody?
That I'm not so sure about. I don't know no. At the time I did, but thinking about it now, no.
When you say everybody, though, I mean, I think or feel that not everybody is who they look to be. So there's a lot of destructive sort of beings out there on different solar systems, I think, and they've been brought here for proof of worth, or we've been given everything. So it's been like you've been given like this earth, you've been given this format, you've been given this sort of like everything you need here to prove that you're able to step into the new positive universe, because the future, the expanding future for everybody is already there, but they've got to prove that they're worthy of it. I'm not talking about humans or anything else. I'm just talking about different species that are here as different entities from different universes, which have got to prove themselves, because no one's in charge of somebody's timeline. They're only in charge of their own timelines, and it's up to them.
Can I hang on just rattle your jewelry there for a minute. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and So I don't take it thingy, but I just feel that, you know, these entities that are out here, especially the people in power, then it's almost like they're on their last sort of like chance to do the right thing.
Oh, definitely. I think they've already had it. It's been done though, don't you?
It's been done because they're expanding. Every time we go on a journey, now I sort of call it future proofing. It's just sort of like what happens in the future, and can you prove what happens in the future? So we'll be shown something on a storyline, but then we take them we're taking down this line and it all goes tits up or whatever. It's almost like you're showing these people and everything else, but it always comes to the same ending. They always end up turning on you or nasty or whatever, no matter what you try and do. And it's just like this, you know, we do a storyline and whatever, and it's like we're taken to the end of that. Yeah. And it always goes a bit thingy because it's the end of their timeline. And whatever we try to do, it always has unfortunately it always has the same ending.
I think what I think I'd sort of tie things in with, and this sits well for me, I mean, it might resonate, might not, but obviously Earth itself goes through, I think it's a 26,000 year cycle, 26,500 year cycle. And at the moment, or we have actually Earth has hit the photon belt. And once we hit the photon belt, we've gone into the age of light or the age of Aquarius. So this basically means that every 26,000 years, there's a raising consciousness or a lowering in consciousness. And this time round, because it's the age of Aquarius, the age of light, we're having obviously a raising in consciousness, which obviously we are all seeing, which is what's going on at the moment. And, you know, and everything like that. And we are at that stage. That's why this is all happening, because it's a 26,000 year cycle and we're at the end of it. It's about to start a new one. So things have to change. So there'll be an evolution of humanity. And that's what's happening now, which is, and we are going in to the age of the light. So the light, we've won, we're there. I think we are. The book I was reading was, say it was written in 1987, I think. It was saying by the end of the Mayan calendar, we'd be in the age of light. We'd gone into the photon belt. So we are obviously, now it's 2021, we must be in that photon belt, I'm presuming, which is why it's kicked off more and it's more aware, and we're going through this raising consciousness now. So I think it's just the ending of a cycle. So 26,000 years ago, I don't know what happened then, whether there was, you know, we keep going back and back to Atlantis and Lemuria, when there was a high vibration of consciousness on the planet then. But then obviously it was taken away from us, wasn't it? And then our DNA was put down to 2 strands and it was taken away.
Sorry, what book is that?
This book I'm reading at the moment is The Pleiadian Agenda by Barbara.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Barbara.
Yeah.
I would have told you, if you didn't go into the Barbara, but I said,
it's good. She begins with M. Yeah, that's it. That is it.
You tell we're not well read, can't you?
Bug off. You're getting at me. I did read a book.
but that's what's nice, isn't it? That's our path. We're not well read, you know. So
oh, well done. That's how you say it. I don't know how to say it, so I'm not going to have a go.
Anything that happens is because it happens, which is nice. Because we don't read stuff. Yeah, you know, when we go on journeys, we're not being channeled by what we've read or what we've seen or whatever. So everything.
I'm due to read the books I read. I've had them for years, but you talk about your journeys, haven't I? And then I've gone and literally read what you've talked in your journeys in the book in one way or another, which even confirms it for you. Like you say, you talk about it first, and I'm opening the book and I'm going, oh my God, they were talking about this last week on their podcast.
Yeah,
this is it. It's like you've got confirmation. I mean, not you need confirmation because we all totally believe you anyway.
So that's why I asked that question. Is that happening when you get the timeline of what? Where both of them are coming together, what you say and what shows up is instant? Was it happening on a universal or a worldwide scale or an individual scale? The reason I asked that is there happens to be constantly. I'm careful about what I say and about what I think, because it will show up.
Yeah.
An instance, who posted the one about the, I don't know who, about the Santa Claus? Who put up that? Which one? I wasn't even aware that post was out there, that YouTube thingy was out there, right? But I saw it came out on the 1st of December, is when that one came out. And I looked at this at the 1st of December. Now, I don't...
Somebody posted it on the main group in Telegram, and I shared it.
Yeah, so I spoke about that on the 4th, okay? But it really happened on the 1st, is when that tape was done. And I spoke about it, about the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Because we was watching
it, and I was trying to figure out that.
And you're like, oh my God, because they're like, you were like, we've been talking. That's what we was talking about on the podcast, and you was talking about it 4 days or 3 days before. But that's bizarre.
It is. But the thing was, and the video before that, right at the end, and I had something about Christmas songs. What was that about Christmas? I said, it is important. And I was thinking, so I can't remember it. And as soon as the recording was over, I remember now. But and the last one, when the telephone went off and my phone went off, and I said, "Oh, Christmas!" I remembered then what I was supposed to say on the last one, and that was it about Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying about when you think of something, it shows up. It shows up instantly.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Yeah.
In other words, welcome to my world. That's my world.
Yeah.
I spoke about this before,
William,
when you were saying that you was reading something and you've seen it once and you never seen it again. And when you said that, I went, oh my God, how many times that happened to me and you? Wow. You know what I mean? Because we used to go through, the beginning point was in Phase and Fable. And we were seeing things in there that weren't in there. And we seen one. It was about...
We saw one thing in there, and it was all about...
breeding
camps with young women in there, breeding baby after baby.
And they were exchanging, and people will go to different places to exchange different sort of like DNAs or cultures or whatever, and they'll be taken away for repopulation or rebreeding. And we read that into
it went into quite a lot of detail, didn't it?
Early 2000. We're like, fucking hell, what the fuck? Anyway, we went looking for it afterwards through the same book. Couldn't find it. They're gone. Now this is early 2000. Well, of course, now we're here, and it was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I know what that's
the
like.
weird thing about and the weird thing about the this timeline shift, which could have been only 200 years ago, early Victorian times, is where all these children came from, and they've raffle them off, and also they'll be like giving them away at theme parks. Well, early Victorian didn't have fucking theme parks.
No, they didn't actually, did they?
No, they fuckers like.
They're fairgrounds. And they
had incubators in the background with the babies in them. We've only just got incubators in the last few years.
And this was in a book?
No, it's on one of the videos of
Tartaria. And it's got old pictures. Yeah. Yeah, and it was saying that all these children turned up, thousands of children turned up from nowhere. All that same sort of...
Couples come and choose which baby they want.
What baby they want. Some was raffled off, and other ones were adopted from theme parks. So you've seen people, this like the theme park sort of thing at the back, sign at the back, yeah? Well, obviously then they've got then babies in these incubators. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it's just, and then we've seen that in Phrase and Fable, and then obviously here we are now, and then we're seeing that, and it's just like bang. That's why I wanted to talk about it tonight, because like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like getting all snippets of the big picture, isn't it?
Yeah,
piecing it together.
Times and
would you think that time is looping back on itself? Would you think it's looping back on itself?
Yeah.
And maybe that's where a lot of that stuff is coming back in. That's in the loop, the time loop.
Yeah. Maybe these pictures are coming back. This what we're seeing on the internet, the same as what Phrase and Fable does when it flags it up. These pictures are now out there to see, where they weren't out there before, because it's getting closer back to that timeline. I said time's going backwards, not forwards.
Yeah, the clock goes backwards.
Yeah, the clock always goes backwards.
Keeps doing anti-clockwise.
A lot of the spheres or domes that we've been working with, they spin anti-clockwise.
Yeah. And they always
freeze everything.
Yeah, and they always spin, don't they? They're never stationary. They'll always spin.
Oh, always fucking spinning. Yeah. They put the spin in my head one day just so I remember the fucking spin. I was like, oh, fucking hell. I was like,
everything revolves. Everything revolves.
Yeah, everything constantly.
Everything revolves. Yeah.
All the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
Beautiful to watch. Honestly, I wish I could video it. But the mad thing about it, if people are with us on our journeys, they can see it as well.
One day, I'm coming down to that boat.
Oh, we'll come and kidnap you.
Yeah.
We got Tash.
You're going to come and can you tell me when that'll be? I'll be ready. You come and kidnap me. You know what
we'll cook people. Yeah.
I'll go willingly.
Yeah.
Oh, Juicy. Sorry to interrupt you. Someone's just asked on the chat, what edition did you get? I think they mean the Fays and Fable. Because there's so many editions.
It was the Millennium.
Yeah, it was the Millennium one.
It was the Millennium one. And that's
the first one we used.
That's the first one we used.
And then we went looking in old bookshops for.
It's a weird setup. Because the fact I've never bought a book, as you can tell. I don't read books. I don't have time. If a book comes out, I wait for the film. It's easier. I've done it an hour and a half or 2 hours now.
Films are normally not as good.
You'll always say
just the way I am. But I've always been like that.
Even like films with lots of writing.
I can't be asked for that. You're ruining it for me. Yeah.
When was the last time you actually saw a movie? What?
Oh, we all froze.
I said, when is the last time you saw a movie?
Well, we watched on home the other night, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
We're watching one every bloody day if you tune in onto the bloody mainstream media.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Sorry.
I tell you what. There's some sole contracts there being terminated. Fucking hell. Isn't it?
Yeah.
But they all work for the same family. So, you get on that, you get a job because of who you are, not because of what you are.
Who you are.
You know what I mean? But
maybe it is because of what you are.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you see, it's like I said before, we were watching something really interesting the other day, and it was about genetics, and a lot of in the Bible, with the Bible, it talks about genetics. So genetics have been known for a very long time. So these morons have obviously been playing around a very long time with genetics. As I said, the thing is, I've got a feeling we've took them by surprise, because, like, I wouldn't say with throwbacks, but our genetics are pure. And we can't be brainwashed or be told what to do. Yeah, and I'm like, because of this, because of what we've seen in Fays and Fable, and because of these children that have come from nowhere, it almost makes there's no point you wanting to be the master of the universe without creating a breed of people to serve you. So have they been playing? Have they been? That's where these children dabbling before. To breed into to where we are, so they can play their silly fucking games, because that's what they are.
They've been planning this for thousands of years.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's been going on for thousands of years. They've been doing that, breeding with women, and
they played a long game. They played a long game.
Yeah.
It's like, and that could include breeding a type of people to be
subservient.
Yeah.
So they've taken their time about what they want to do. They hadn't planned on next year or the year after. They've planned in advance.
They've also not had a fucking clue that there'd be people out there that would see it for what it really is.
I think so. When we did the banking, that took them by surprise. I think they're more.
They were that shocked. They didn't actually know what to do with it.
Didn't know what to fucking do, because we're not part of their system. We're not part of their. We're like, how they broke?
That's because we've come in to help. haven't we? We've come in to help.
Yeah,
I know that.
This is why I know.
They
This is why I know
didn't
everybody.
No,
everybody
they didn't.
That, understands some even one little part of this. Yeah, it's because we've been bought in. Yeah, we've been bought in. From out there to sort it out.
They didn't count on that.
No.
They didn't count on
see that
that
one coming, did they?
No.
No. They're very short-sighted in that direction.
Very.
Yeah.
Very, very short.
Yeah, they didn't expect any. Because
they still don't know what to do with it.
They still don't know what to do, because the thing is, at the end of the day, if one person, even right at the end of the throw, stands pure, I can go, they're fucked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they are. They were fucked a long time ago. For part of my friends, they were fucked a long time ago.
Yeah.
Only they don't know it. They don't know what to do.
I mean, what was this planned for, like 2030, but they pushed it forward? I think they bought it for.
Who are they? Who are you talking about?
The
other crowd.
State.
Yeah, the other crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. The other crowd.
Yeah. It seems very rushed. It seems like, like also like it's like Game of Thrones. It's a real bad ending. A bit of a rush and bit fucking blah blah blah, and it don't sit right. It seems very rushed.
It is very rushed. It's very, very rushed. Totally chaotic.
But I said to you, didn't I? I mean, I said a long time ago, it's because of the energies, whatever. And because at that particular time, we only thought it was me and you. We didn't realise, everybody thought they was on their own, really. You know what I mean? And then we were working with these energies and stuff. And I said to you, the thing is now, because we've taken that energy away from them, they have now physically got to come up and fight. They've got to fucking can't hide behind the ivory towers anymore. They've got to step out into the fucking big boys world. And this is what they don't like.
They don't like being exposed.
Yeah, don't like being exposed.
No.
This is probably what went wrong with the ether. Yeah, it was old energy. It was an old technology. Went all a bit bangy. Yeah.
It's all been exposed. Anything they control is being exposed. Anything
crumbling. Everything.
You imagine how many of them have come onto the world stage and then have disappeared. They're probably taking their own out. They'll turn on themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because they've been making examples out of them people and fucking whatever. Yeah, because they've gone.
Their bosses, bosses, right, have no qualms about eliminating them if it's the same as that.
Yeah.
It's dog eat dog in their world.
Yeah.
Dog eat dog.
You're in more danger than just the normal person in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are, like even if you look in the old times, if it's true or not, but the closer you got to the king or queen that was ruling at that particular time, it was all great 1 minute, but then all of a sudden something went bad, your fucking head was off. It was as simple as that. But old Bob in the field was still picking his nose and digging carrots up. He was all right. So I mean, it's like
he didn't have all the privileges.
A very short fucking period of time.
Off it is.
What a great picture I've got in my
head. It's fucking true though. Well, Bob are going, what was that then? He's picking his nose and playing with his carrots. He's like, what happened? but it's fucking true. You imagine the bollocking that been handed out.
It was a lot safer than the guy standing next to the king of the green.
Yeah.
Yeah, take him away. Off his head.
You're better off being a fucking nobody.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
And like I said to you before, it's a great time to have nothing. Yeah. You imagine if you're like this multi-billionaire, right? And then when the whole lot collapses, you're a multi-billionaire because it's not worth anything.
Thin air.
You know what I mean? So he's like, to us, we're Bob, and we're playing with carrots still, yeah. What the fuck? But they've lost everything.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Maybe there is no. Do you know anybody that's filthy rich? That's one of us.
No.
Average lot. No.
No. Not a single one.
I've worked with them. I've worked with them.
Or someone with loads and loads of followers either.
Yeah. Or
say that
one for, it's funny you should mention that.
Someone that we haven't got loads and loads of followers on, say, on our channels. Like we're not in the thousands and thousands.
Yes.
We're in just the where we should be, the right ones.
Or one viewer.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today, and not even before I came on. I was thinking about that. I said,
it's me. Sorry.
Yeah, you get the true what you call the pure followers. I even hate to use that word followers. But you get who will listen and will look at what we're saying. They're the true. When the locals don't know, they're the true followers.
Yeah,
are the true people.
Yeah.
And part of the tribe, isn't it?
We're all who we, and because it resonates, it's because it's who we are.
I mean, we all know people that have thousands upon thousands of followers, and we know what comes out of them most of the time from the people that are being followed are putting themselves out there, and we know what comes out of their mouth sometimes.
I'd sooner have one viewer, and that energy goes on to that one viewer, than going on to billions of viewers where your energy's been sucked from you.
And if you can help that one person by what you're putting out there.
Thank you, Dermot.
Thank you, Dermot.
Where is
he? It is.
There's our one viewer.
maybe Dermot. So,
Judy.
And that's only to see what we've been saying about him.
We've actually got a handful. We've got Judith, Dragana. Who else?
That's it.
Doreen might be watching.
That's it.
Actually, you've got 703. I think you're not doing too bad there.
There's not many of us. Not really. There's not.
No. But like you say,
very few true people out there giving out information. Very, very few. They get totally consumed, and then the ones that start off with a good intent, what do? They start bringing in the old dogma religion, and I'm saying, oh, here we go again.
Yeah,
we're trying to get out of that. We're trying to get people away from that, and these people are bringing them back into it.
Yeah,
stay away from it.
Yeah, I mean, right at the beginning, when all of a sudden it's like that, switch off. It's greater than that. It's like fucking up here. The creator line. That's the furthest I can get.
We're not supposed to know, though, are we? Because our minds don't hold the capacity to know and understand it, do they? I mean, not as on a human level.
People say to us, like when Tash, you go, how do you remember all of this? And I'm like, the best way I can explain it is, when you go on holiday for 2 weeks and you have 2 weeks holiday and you come back, and when memories you have with your holiday and you talk to people and then memories you have forever. So when we go on our travels,
I don't have that. As soon as I get on the plane,
yeah, who are you?
I think it's hypothetical. We've just got to go along with it and imagine this.
But that's what it is. When we come back from our travels, it's exactly the same as being on your holidays, but like not on your holidays. But not a busman's fucking holiday. Yeah, but that's the memory set. That's exactly how it feels, and that's why I can remember everything, because it's exactly the same as when you go on holidays and you go on your travels and you come back and you talk about it. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Every little bit of it, you remember every little bit. It's all a bit like this because we walk many parallels at the same time. It's one of our superpowers. It's sort of like we resonate over all different parallels, so we can pick up frequencies on all different ones. But I think a lot of the ones are only probably walking on one.
You shouldn't have mentioned him. Dermot.
He's messaging you.
Well, buddy, he's telling me to get to bed.
Yeah, I've got to go in a minute as well.
Yeah, we'll go off anyway.
Dermot, you're a bugger, you are.
What's he said?
He's listening in, yeah, fecker, yeah.
Hi, Dermot.
It's our viewer. I knew we had one.
He's telling me get to bed.
Oh, thank you, Dermot. See you later.
Yeah.
He didn't know I was coming on there tonight.
But I must say this, and it's what I do feel. It's like the most troublesome beings or whatever have been brought here to prove themselves. They've been given everything on a silver platter. to prove themselves. They've been given money, they've been given this, they've been given this, yeah, all been handed to them to go, look, you got to have all of this. This is what you can have. And I think that's almost symbolic of the future of the abundance of what there is out there, to go, look, and then they still do it, and then they still use it for wrong, and that's their downfall.
They know no different. That's the thing. It's just different perception, isn't it? I know I'm not washing over it, you know, don't get me wrong. But it's the way they live. They can't grasp the concept that we're coming from in any formal way, can they?
From their concept, they're doing no wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
they're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah. It is bonkers though, you know, because we can watch the news and go, fucking hell, and it's mad to think that people can look at that and go, we're going to die. Oh my God, I'll die. And it's like, even now, the divide now is fucking massive.
It is
massive,
ginormous,
huge. You know, we walk around and listen to people, listen to conversations. But if anybody wants to do their own Zoom in, we did it the other day. We sat in a pub having a hot chocolate. We sat like this and we did our own Zoom. So we're sitting talking about what was happening.
We didn't have a laptop out.
We didn't have a laptop. We just went and sat in a pub, and we started talking like we do, like on a Zoom chats. And as we're doing it, we realised everybody was starting to listen.
In the whole pub.
Everyone
was listening.
Because the people
ears were pricked.
Earwigging. So they're doing this. So they're really concentrating on every word because they're earwigging. And we carried on.
Noisy bastards.
This pub was supposed to close at 4 o'clock, but we're still in there at 4:45 because the staff and everybody was listening to our conversation.
And nice one. Know that you that they were listening?
Because we weren't forcing it down their necks. We weren't telling them what to think, what to do. Yeah. This is right. This is wrong. This is right. This is wrong. It was actually going in because they were being naughty by earwigging.
Yeah.
It was actually going in better.
Works really well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have you been better from that pub?
Yeah. And then as we was walking home, there's a gentleman walking in front of us, on the side of us. So we started again. Yeah. So then we started slowing down to have a fag or whatever. Then he'd slow down as being over there because he was listening to what we're saying. Yeah. So it works so well. So everybody out there, just go out, sit in a pub or a bar and just have a conversation about all sorts of different things. Yeah. And people listen.
I'd be a bit difficult on my own, talking to myself. I'd have to jump seats going, guess what? Do you know this?
I talk to myself. I talk, I'll tell you what, you two, there you go. You two go out,
we'll go out together.
Have a coffee somewhere, right? And go on a Saturday or Sunday, and then do it.
Zooming on tour.
Yeah. And then do it, and then see the response you get. And it's a fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm up for that. We have to do that.
You can hear their ears.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a really good way of doing it, actually. I like that.
It really is a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But you see, the thing is, these sort of
you don't lose them on the whole, that's a good bollocks.
No.
They're too busy like being naughty.
Yeah.
And because there's no other conversation going on within that bar, except it's rubbish, and you're sitting just having this chat with two people, all of a sudden you've got their attention. And it's a wonderful thing because you think to yourself, do you know what? There's hope here.
Yeah, there's always hope. Oh,
yeah, because they're not going. Because they're not going. Fucking idiots. Yeah. Otherwise, they would have kept the bar open until 4:45 until we left. We actually left. Yeah, and they still didn't lock it up.
No, dear. You want to never offered you another gig?
No.
Stage.
No,
you don't need a stage.
But it does work. It does work because you're not preaching to them. You're not. You're talking, and they're listening.
Yeah, they're begin. Yeah.
It works a lot.
Because people don't know. Obviously, the average sort of Joe blogs don't know about different sort of platforms and where people just sit and talk and chat about different things and accept every, you know, we can go to all different sorts of scenarios. They don't know about that sort of life. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Mind you, that people are waking up. I give you an instance. Yesterday it was yesterday or today?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Do you think everyone will wake up then, William?
Well, I'll give you an instance, right? I had to go to get some paper, and I knew the printing works. I knew the owners, and I went in, but I hadn't seen them for years. And I arrived at lunchtime, forgetting it was lunchtime, and everybody was missing. All the people I wanted to see were missing. And I said, oh, crikey, where's John? As soon as I said, where's John? John walked in the door behind me. John is one of the owners. We hadn't seen each other for years. And we got on well with each other, and we immediately started talking. In 5 minutes, he told me everything, that he started to hear things, and he doesn't know if they're true, and he knows about this vaccination. He says, I'm hearing things about that, and he said, I'm hearing about that. And I said, that's true. And he's talking about, and he says, there's something about these vaccines. I said, that's true. And he was looking at me. And I said, he said, I haven't got the vaccination, and he has a son who has a touch of attention deficit disorder. And I said, yeah. And he says, I don't know, I'm hearing stuff about CBD oil. I said, yeah. And I was able to fill them all in.
Wow.
And he was hearing snippets from everywhere about all the things that was going on. And
which is lovely to hear as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm only hearing this for the past 12 months, he says. I said, I heard about this years ago. And he says, but if you had spoken about that years ago to me, he says, I'd have called you nuts. But see, I'm starting to wake up now, he says, and realize what's going on. And I spent an hour with him, standing in his office, or outside his office door, trying to explain things. And he was stupefied. See, is all that going on? I said, yeah. And he says, oh my God. Oh my God. I never realized, he says, this was going on. But he believed me.
Yeah. I've had that quite a few times this week. A woman in the shop, she owns a corner shop, talking to her, and she'd been hearing snippets from everywhere, which is lovely, because it means there's loads of people going into shops talking about what's going on. Yeah. So, and then I work with, I won't go into it online, because we'll probably, if I mention it online, what happened today, we'll probably get the channel taken down, so I won't. But he had a wake up call, and he was like, fucking hell. And he was like, you know, you've been talking about this for a long time, but he heard something from a ex-para, and he's like, he rang us up to go, fuck me. And it was kind of upsetting to see somebody actually wake up on such a fucking horrific sort of way that he found out. Like, you know what I mean? And it is going to be hard for people. You know what I mean? Because he said, I've got to go. I said, yeah, go. I said to him, the thing is, you know, these fuckers want to do what they want to do. Yeah. And all you've got to do is protect yourself and your family. Just get through the next few months.
Yes.
Just bunker down, keep out of the fucking way. Get the next few months out of the way. Yeah. And don't be a statistic.
July, August, I said something was going to happen.
Yeah.
I won't tell you about this, but something.
Oh, you should tease, isn't he?
Oh, shut up, you.
Hopefully, at the very least, we get a bit of summer.
Summer. Yeah. I believe what's going to happen is going to be wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, it will be. It will be wonderful.
Yeah. Well, that's
because at the end of the day, we connect to our higher selves in the expanding future of where we already are. So we've already made it.
I know.
I can't give away too much information there, because I'd have done it on my back.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
No exclusives.
And even though he's thousands of miles away.
Yeah, he's here, Wigan.
Yeah, he probably knows where you live.
He probably knows where you live.
I'm gonna have to go on that note.
That makes two of us. That makes two of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All right, say goodbye then. Okay then.
Thank you, you two.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's been an absolute wonderful chat.
Yeah.
Good night,
Thank you.
Dermot.
Yeah.
Good night,
good night,
Dermot.
Dermot.
Or good morning, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Lots of love. Thank you.
All right,
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm trying to get off. Don't mind me a minute. I don't know what I'm doing here. Bye.
I don't.